first contract through Health Canada was at a nursing station north of Pickle Lake. It was November. The ice roads weren't in yet, and the only way in or out was a twice-weekly twin otter out of Sioux Lookout. The building was an old cedar and cinder block outpost built in the late 70s. Half of it had been decommissioned after a minor electrical fire in 2004. So we operated out of 3 exam rooms and a small trauma bay on the east side. The west wing was dead storage, old metal cots, surplus PPE, and cardboard archive boxes. My first 2 weeks were mostly routine, checking blood pressures, dressing diabetic foot ulcers, and managing cold chain storage for vaccines. Because I was on call overnight, I slept in the attached living quarters behind the dispensary. The sound started around my 3rd week, always between 3 and 4 in the morning, when the baseboard heaters would kick off and the wind died down. It was a rhythm, 4 short, rhythmic beats against the drywall, followed by a flat, tuneless vocal hum that sounded like a nursery rhyme being repeated under someone's breath. The first couple of nights, I blamed the furnace stack. The exhaust pipe ran vertically through the decommissioned hallway, and in -30 weather, thermal contraction will make galvanized steel groan like a human voice. But on a Tuesday at 3:17 a.m., the power failed across the settlement. The backup diesel generator failed to turn over. In the absolute dead silence of a zero-power building, the hum came through the vent again, perfectly clear, followed by the dull drag of something small sliding across linoleum. I grabbed my heavy-duty maglite, unlocked the fire door to the west wing, and stepped past the yellow chain barrier. The air in there smelled like damp cardboard and cold concrete. I followed the sound toward the old pediatrician's office at the far end of the corridor. The door was wedged shut from the outside with an unpainted wooden shim. I pulled the wedge out and pushed the door open. Inside, the room hadn't been gutted like the others. There was a rusted examination table, a wooden desk with its drawers pulled out, and on the floor in the center of the room, a child's winter parka, a blue nylon snowsuit from the early 90s, coated in gray dust. Resting on the hood was a plastic cassette tape recorder, the kind community schools used for language labs. The plastic casing was cracked, and the battery compartment was corroded shut with blue copper salts. When I picked up the jacket, I realized it was draped over 3 heavy ring binders, stamped with the old Provincial Medical Services seal. I took the binders back to my quarters. They were administrative incident logs from the winter of 1991. Most of the pages were ordinary shift notes, but beginning in late January, names were blacked out with black grease marker. Entire incident reports had been physically sliced out of the ledger with an X-Acto blade. One carbon slip was left loose inside the back sleeve. It was an internal transfer receipt for an 8-year-old patient who had been admitted during a severe blizzard with hypothermia and a head injury. The line for discharge destination was crossed out 3 times in red pen. Below it, in shaky handwriting, someone had written, "Sent north with maintenance flight 14. No manifest entry required per district supervisor." There was no record of a maintenance Flight 14 in the regional flight archives. I looked up the next morning on our satellite connection. The aircraft registration listed on the slip belonged to a private charter company that dissolved 2 months after that date. At breakfast, I asked Mary, a local elder who had worked as the clinic's head receptionist since 1986, about the files in the back office. She stopped stirring her tea, looked out the frost-covered window toward the runway, and told me that the west wing was closed because of black mold. She said looking through obsolete files was a breach of patient privacy protocols, and that I should leave the master keys in the dispensary lockbox at night. By that afternoon, the atmosphere in the station changed. When I walked into the waiting room, conversations cut out immediately. People who had appointments scheduled for routine checks simply didn't show up. At 9:00 p.m., I received a call on the landline from the regional nursing director in Thunder Bay. She didn't ask about our supply inventory or patient intake. She told me that due to operational restructuring, my 6-month placement was being cut short, and a relief nurse was arriving on the morning charter to take over my shift. She instructed me to have my personal belongings packed by 7:00 a.m. and reminded me that all administrative documents remained property of the ministry. I couldn't sleep that final night. At roughly 3:30 a.m., I heard the latch on the fire door click. I sat up in bed, keeping the room dark, and watched the slit of light under my door. Footsteps, slow, heavy, wearing standard rubber-soled winter boots, moved past my room toward the back storage wing. A minute later, I heard the sound of heavy corrugated boxes being dragged across the floor, followed by the metallic clang of the outside loading dock door opening and closing. When the charter landed at dawn, the pilot kept the engines idling on the gravel strip. As I walked out with my duffel bag, I looked back at the health post. The padlock on the west wing loading door was brand new, bright brass against the rusted steel. No one from the band office came out to say goodbye. The relief nurse, a young guy from Sudbury, waved at me as he unloaded his gear from the cargo hold. I wanted to tell him about the ledger, about the missing pages, about the flight receipt tucked in the back of the 1991 binder. Instead, I watched him walk through the front entrance with his clipboard, locking the door behind him against